Welcome to another episode of Routes Through Pokemon Adventures. I'm Shaylock.
I'm Ruby.
And this week we have joining us
Flame.
And he'll be with us hopefully the next 2 episodes after this as well, as we go through a lot of manga and a total of 18 episodes of the anime on our way to the Blackthorn City Gym. This week we will be covering 4 episodes of the Pokemon Adventures Manga Volume 12 and 6 episodes of the anime. But before we get into all of that, let's catch up on what's been going on. So, what have you been up to, Flame?
Easter and work.
Easter and work.
No one was run over this Easter.
That's a plus.
I didn't have to work the last Sunday like I normally do.
Because of Easter.
Yeah. We had Bunny Monday, which is basically where the Easter Bunny comes Sunday night instead of Saturday night, because, our dad worked, so that he could be home when the Easter Bunny came and hit our eggs.
And baskets. Which you found real quick and easy, right, Flame?
No.
But yeah, I had to work on Easter, so we did our own family Easter celebration on Monday.
But we had a big celebration with a bunch of friends and stuff on Sunday.
Yeah, friends, family, all that stuff.
Where we had a ton of Easter eggs. There were like 500, because we had 450, and then a couple families brought some.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's fun.
It's usual for that one family to bring some, but the other one was not as normal. We had that. That was super fun. But that night when we colored eggs, there were 2 eggs that I thought were fun. One of them was a Wobbuffet egg. I love my Wobbuffet egg. And I got to find it, which was also fun.
And then you brought some of the older eggs up, including my Gambit card, charged card egg, which I hid real cleverly.
You hid, or the Easter Bunny?
The Easter Bunny hid.
There might be little kids listening, Daddy. Come on.
Exactly what I was thinking.
But the other one, I actually wrote words on it. I wrote guess what on one side, and then I did a ... And if you turned it around, there was a chicken's butt, and it said chicken butt. I thought it was hilarious.
Guess what? Chicken butt!
But yeah, I just had a lot of fun on Easter, visiting with some friends and stuff.
Another thing that was fun that happened on Bunny Monday, because it was kind of a chill day, Ruby and I and Vavai finally played some more Scarlet and Violet. And we even took on a whole nother gym. We finally took on the Psychic Gym.
And I actually lost the first time, but that's kind of to be expected, because we're not leveling up as hard.
Yeah, that's true. And Vi didn't quite make it. He lost twice, so he's going to have to try to beat it on his own time. And I almost lost. Definitely had to use some revives and stuff, and I only had 1 Pokemon standing at the end.
The second time I made it, and I had a few Pokemon standing at the end, actually.
Yeah, there were some pretty powerful Pokemon. But that was fun, and I'm glad we got to get a little further again. All right. Well, now that we're all caught up there, let's start with jumping into our manga chapters. So we're covering 4 chapters today, starting with Adventure 145, Sandslash Surprise. So back in the volcano-looking island, Gold wakes up with Abo, by his side. The last thing he remembers is battling Masked Man with Silver, and they should be dead. Silver explains what he remembers, and they were rescued from drowning by something big and mysterious, and it brought them to the island they are on now, and somehow warmed them with flames of life that came from its body. Who could that be?
I wonder what that is.
I mean, we saw it at the end of the last volume.
Weird. Very suspicious.
So then the boys have a bunch of spiny plants or something descend upon them, and they run. Gold realizes he's missing his shoe and his gear, which we saw that Lieutenant Surge had found in the lake. But they both have most of their Pokemon, and they send them out to battle the spiny things, which turn out to be a ton of Sandslash. Lieutenant Surge, following the description he got from Morty, arrives at the island as the boys come out of the cave, and he brings them all their gear. Then he says he wants information about the Masked Man in exchange for bringing all that to them. But before they can do that, they find Surge's ship, the SS Aqua, flying around, and off in the distance is Lugia. and the boat that has Yellow and Chris on it. Things are getting exciting and all converging in this area at the moment. So then we move on to Adventure 146, Lively Lugia, Part 1. So they all realize that all the ships in that area are flying up in the air, and they think it might be an amped-up confusion ability, because apparently confusion makes things levitate. It has in the anime, too.
Yeah.
It feels like, confusion feels more like confusing the Pokemon. I have no idea why it confused us with its name.
Yes, it did.
It should be called, like, levitation or something.
Agreed. Gold figures it must be the cause of all those whirlpools, too, which it seemed to have some hand in with the anime and Pokemon 2000. Like, Lugia did do all the whirlpools and everything, remember?
Yeah, okay.
The Aqua is slammed down into the water, and a tidal wave comes for Surge and the boys. Silver takes off on his Murkrow, and Surge floats off with his Magneton, which Gold hitches a ride on since he has no surfing or flying Pokemon.
Lieutenant Surge seemed to be a little annoyed about that part.
He certainly did.
Yeah.
Then, while with Surge, he starts to pay him back. Gold explains that he and Silver battled Masked Man twice, and that he can sum up his technique with one word: ice. Surge is surprised since Masked Man didn't even use ice once against him. On the fisherman boat, Yellow realizes that Lugia is the same Pokemon she saw over Cerise Island during the battle with the Elite Four. Then Chris's Pokedex starts beeping, and Yellow explains the old Pokedexes had that too, where they triggered when the rightful owners had their Pokedexes and they were close together.
So that means even the thief is the rightful owner.
Apparently. Chris then remembers Oak mentioning there were 2 other Pokedexes like the one he gave Chris. Silver sees the people on Fisherman's boat and that they're in danger, and so he drops down to the water and surfs on Croconaw. Meanwhile, Gold sees a damsel in distress on the boat and drops down to save her. Oh, and so when he remembers that he also rescued a damsel in distress in the Tin Tower, with Jasmine, he realizes that rescuing girls must be his calling.
Oh my gosh, he's so stupid.
Silver gets to Chris first. Chris mistakes the boys for trouble, but then the Pokedexes beep and are revealed, and Chris can't believe they are the owners of the other 2 Pokedexes.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then it's Adventure 147, Lively Lugia, Part 2. The Pokedexes are beeping together, and the 3 starters see one another again. But before anyone can make heads or tails of that, Lugia attacks again. It's just those 3 on a broken portion of the fisherman's boat, and Silver is about to take off with Croconaw, but Gold notices that all 3 of their Pokemon want to fight Lugia, and so they should give them that chance. But they can barely deflect Lugia's attacks, it turns out, and Silver is going to use Murkrow, but then Gold is blasted off the boat and he throws him a line. In the midst of that, the fisherman calls Gold on the Pokedex or the Pokegear or whatever, and then a tidal wave comes and Gold is pushed deep into the water, breaking the rope that Silver had tossed him. He isn't going to make it, but then he meets a Mantine. Then suddenly, Gold emerges with the Mantine and a bunch of Remoraid, many of them acting as jets to shoot them forward. Gold is heading up to Lugia with that water-flying Pokemon, and he's feeling cocky about his chances with taking down Lugia all on his own. And then finally, for this week, we hit Adventure 148, Lively Lugia, Part 3.
I was a little surprised with the Part 3. I was like, wait, there's 3 parts?
Yep.
I thought there was just going to be 2.
Yeah, it's usually just like Part 1 and Part 2. And they're just like longer parts.
Yeah, there's been more than 2, I think, in the past. But yes, generally it is 2 parts.
I believe it, but I was just a little surprised. I was like, wait, Part 3?
The Remoraid become water cannons, and they all blast Lugia back. Lugia knocks Gold and all those Pokemon out of the sky, and Gold lands on a beach. But when Lugia turns back to fight, Chris and Silver find that Lugia's mouth got jammed open by Gold's pool cue, so it can't keep blasting anymore. Turns out Gold had caught Mantine too. He didn't just take a ride on it. He had actually caught the Pokemon. Then, with all 3 on the beach, Lugia comes back and tries to land right on top of them, just to squish him.
This Lugia seems very cruel.
Fortunately, the 3 starters push back against Lugia, protecting their trainers, and as they fight hard to keep Lugia off them all, they all evolve into their final forms, Meganium, Feraligatr, and Typhlosion. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a little confused at first, like, but she just got that Pokemon. But they kind of explained it.
Yeah, she's like, wait, but she just evolved in Bayleaf a little while ago. How is that possible?
But being around each other, making them evolve, I was like, oh, okay, I'll accept that.
Yeah. Gold remembers Silver has talked about vital points on Pokemon, like with the Ursa ring, like and the Teddy Ursa, where to hit them with a Pokeball. And so he asks Silver, who says that Lugia's vital point is right between the eyes. So Gold chucks a ball there, but he is off the mark, as he isn't that good at his aim when not using his pool cue, apparently. So Chris shoots forward and uses one of her kicks to get a Pokeball to connect right there. Then there is a flash of light, and Lugia is gone. But when they look at Chris's Pokeball, Lugia is not inside. So where did it go? To be continued.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, and with the manga out of the way, let's jump into the anime. Starting with episode 241, or season 5, episode 30. Whichever way the wind blows. Or, Kirei hana to rafureshiya sogen no heiwa. Or, Kirei hana and Rufresia, peace in meadow.
And only a devastating 2 exclamation points.
You'll survive. All right, so Ash and Co. begin their journey to Blackthorn. And on the way, they find 3 wounded Oddish huddled under a tree. Brock helps them out with his Pokemon food, and this time it's not stolen away like with the Tyrogue. And then they all go to investigate what the Oddish are on about. They find a bunch of Vileplume and Bellossom fighting, and so Ash sends in Bayleaf to break up the battle. And then a professor or scientist guy named Steven shows up and explains the situation of the warring Pokemon. It turns out there are winds that come by every so often, and from one direction, when it blows in, it evolves a bunch of gloom in the area into Vileplume. And if it comes from the other direction, it makes Bellossom. And I think we've already learned in the past with a different Bellossom episode that Kirei hana are Bellossom, which means Rufresia must be Vileplume.
Also, with them evolving and stuff, it's explaining it as like grass stone particles, which is how
Leafstone.
Yeah, leafstone particles, which is how the Execute evolved in that one episode.
By picking up particles?
Yeah, when the wind blew.
The wind didn't blow in that episode.
I think it might have.
No, it didn't. And the problem with that is these guys have been under the exposure in this area because the wind blows through this particular area and carries the particles through here specifically, which has nothing to do with the leaf forest. And they don't evolve right away. It's an The scientist explains that it's an accumulation of the stone's particles, so it takes a while before enough of them get on them that it evolves them, which is why they don't evolve every time. Whereas in the Execute episode, that Execute had been living on like a circus tour with that stupid magician, Marvin, I think his name was, and they had just entered the leaf forest. So it is more likely that he had touched a leaf stone somewhere in the forest, just like the Execute did in that Pokemon short right before Pokemon 2000.
Okay, listen. It took a while to get through there, and then he also got tied up and stuff.
What?
Didn't Marvin get tied up?
By Team Rocket, you mean?
Maybe.
They weren't in there very long. They had pretty much just gotten there.
No, it was a little bit of a trek. A little bit of a walk. So since it's the leaf forest, where do the leaf stone particles have to come from? Probably
was the Execute
from
walking
trees.
on the ground?
No.
So he didn't have a lot of exposure.
Yes, he did. Because how pollen floats around in the air and stuff? So do these little particles, and they kind of fall down from the trees and stuff. Because where do those particles have to come from to evolve these other Pokemon? They have to come from trees and whatnot. So
they don't have to come from trees. Wind blows up all kinds of stuff off the ground.
Okay, well, some of it came from trees. And that is how it evolved. Thank you. No more. No more. Let's move on with our episode. Don't we have to go?
Hold on. You think that makes more sense than touching a leaf stone in the leaf forest?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes, I do.
A random chance that he got just enough particles as they trekked their way one time through this one forest, as opposed to happening to brush up at it at the right time?
That just makes no sense.
No, it makes more sense to accumulate it over time, and he just gets just enough at the right time. So you need thousands of pieces to line up perfectly, as opposed to just one leaf stone on the ground to line up perfectly.
Thousands. It's already all there, and it's just accumulating.
Yeah.
We're leaving this episode behind us forever.
Over time.
No, we're done here.
All right. Well, I'll let you listeners decide which one makes a little bit more sense. So anyway, we've covered the theory of why these things are evolving, so let's skip all those notes then. Bayleaf has to break up more fighting. The gang and Bayleaf all have to wear masks to protect themselves from Vileplume's stun spore. And Oddish have been leaving, and only a few remain because of all this fighting that's been going on. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is having a lovely little picnic, and unfortunately get caught up in a battle between the two grass factions, which causes James and Jesse to be stun spored. And we get a call back to the Salveo weed, like the Orange Islands episode, because Meowth knows that it will help them, and so he goes to find some, and he finds Steven's lab, where there is some Salveo weed, and he uses it to help his buddies. Then Meowth has an idea of getting the boss a ton of Blossom and Vileplume, and we get another boss fantasy. Back to the gang, we learn the huge tree that people, there's a huge tree in the field, and we learn that this one is what's causing a lot of the fighting, because it is the main source of shade in the area, and it moves during the day, from one evolution's territory to the other, so then they fight over it.
I thought they were fighting because they didn't like the shade.
No, they want the shade.
I thought it was saying because they like sunbathing, and then the shade went into their territory and blocked their territory from the sun, and so then they didn't get any shade, so they didn't get any sun.
Even that could be right. Either way, the shade is the problem. It moves, and they don't like it moving.
Correct. Chop the tree down.
That would solve some issues, I suppose. So there are some Blossom and Vileplume that aren't fighting, though. They get along and stay away from all the fighting. While Team Rocket makes a plan, they get caught up in another battle, and then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. If this Pokemon is not well trained, it will bite your friends.
Snubble?
No.
Oh.
Wasn't it like the evolved form of Snubble, Granbull?
Nope. We'll get there. Then a big storm is coming where the wind keeps changing direction, making a lot more of the two evolutions. When the storm ends, a big battle is about to take place, and the gang rush in to try and stop the fight. But before the battle can get going, bombs explode in the middle, and Misty asks what is happening now, and our answer is an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, funny you should ask.
And make it double in a groovy gas mask.
Team Rocket is wearing gas masks, and are there to try and bag up the warring Pokemon.
And didn't they call the bag like a super weird super name?
Because they kept talking about making these bots that look like Vileplume and Blossom, but they never had the budget for it, so they just have a bag that they give a fancy name to, and they're like, but that's just a bag. And they're like, leave us alone.
we spent all our money on these gas masks.
Yep.
Which is stupid when they literally could have just put on a face mask.
Sure. So the battle between the Pokemon is intense, and it isn't going well for them. The gang realize they need to let the Pokemon fight it out and learn that it isn't worth it, and Jesse and James learn their masks aren't plugged in, and so they're stunned again. And when everyone is tired, Misty points out that there are some of the Pokemon that do get along, and that they should try to do that. That's all that they care about, is getting along. But Meowth corrects her and says that actually those particular Pokemon don't just wish to get along, they wish that they had evolved into the other evolution. So the Blossom in that group wanted to be Vileplume and vice versa. And Misty explains a message that used to be a lot more prominent in shows and stuff when I was growing up in response to the identity crisis. She says the wind wasn't what caused them to be what they are, it was what they were meant to be. And that there's always a good reason for the way things turn out. So the Blossom were meant to be Blossom, and the Vileplume were meant to be Vileplume. And what they are is a gift, and it is up to us to make the most of the gifts that we are given. Team Rocket still had Salveo weed, and they tried to kidnap the Pokemon again once they're cured. A battle takes place, and we get a Victory Bell distracted Pokemon moment, and then all the Pokemon work together to rescue those being captured, and Bayleaf sends Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! And our Who's That Pokemon? It's Arcanine, or Arcanine. And our tallies are 1 Boss Fantasy, an interesting intro, and a distracted Pokemon.
Did their bag get torn?
Maybe? I don't know why.
Because wouldn't that be a busted bot?
No, because it wasn't actually a bot, but that's funny.
Busted phony bot.
All right, now, time to rank it. And Flame, who hasn't watched a lot of this stuff, can mostly just have to rank based off of if it's better or worse than the episodes in the current group that we're watching.
Okay. I thought it was interesting. What are you thinking, maybe like right below Extreme Pokemon? Or is that too low? Or too high?
Yeah, I would probably even go under throwing in the Noctowl, but you didn't like throwing in the Noctowl as much as I did.
Yes, that is fine. It can go under that.
Sounds good. Because, yeah, I could see it being better than Tyrogue Full of Trouble. That's fine. So then that makes Whichever Way the Wind Blows number 23 out of 30. All right, so that brings us to our next episode. Number 242, or Season 5, Episode 31. Some Like It Hot. Or Magu Karugo. Atsui Kokoro de Getto Daze. Ooh, Atsui means hot. I remember that from our lessons. Or Mag Cargo. Getting the Hot Heart.
It has 3 exclamation points!
Why again do you care about this?
It's just become a thing of hers.
Deal with it, son.
I'm not your son.
Anyway, Ash and Co. are in the mountains now, and it's very hot there, with volcanoes and hot springs. Misty is complaining a lot, and then gets after Ash for his whiny voice, when it is really herself she's been hearing the whole time, which was really funny. Team Rocket is relaxing in a hot spring, and they see the twerps and decide to just ignore them, because they're stressful, and that's where all their stress is coming from, and the hot springs is relieving a lot of their stress. At least until the geysers start popping up and hits right underneath them and sends Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! As the gang is struggling along with the heat, they spot a Magcargo. Then they realize there are a ton around. As they start to get to a cooler area, they find a giant Magcargo blocking their path. Or at least it seemed like it was giant compared to the others. I couldn't tell. The sizing in this episode got me confused a lot. They wake it up, and it chases them down, throwing a lot of flamethrower at them. Misty decides to deal with the fire Pokemon with Staryu, but instead we get a Psyduck sighting as he pops out. He accidentally reawakens the Magcargo and is scared off. Poliwhirl tries to fight it and is defeated. Then some punk kid named Egan is up on a cliff and makes fun of Misty's combat strategy. He is overconfident and jumps down the cliff and hurts himself by landing like face first on the ground.
He's obnoxious.
He is kind of.
Yeah.
Egan never gets specific about Misty's battle strategy, showing that he probably has nothing to say. He goes for Magcargo himself, but it leaves, and he blames Misty for him failing to be able to catch the Magcargo he wants.
Yeah, I don't like him at all.
Then Misty and Egan have a battle of insults. Before they can actually have a real battle, Egan decides it would be a waste of his time, and he runs off with more insults. Team Rocket is feeling great in their balloon after the nice hot spring bath they had, and Jessie has a catching catchphrase as she talks about never having had such a refreshing blast-off.
Okay.
They decide now they're going to try and get Pikachu, but then another geyser erupts and sends Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This is the heaviest Johto Pokemon.
Snorlax.
Johto Pokemon.
Wait, Snorlax
Right.
isn't Johto?
He's
Snorlax.
Kanto. Like you can get all the Kanto Pokemon in Gold and Silver as well, but he originates from Kanto, not Johto. The gang runs into Egan again, and he's looking for Magcargo, and when it appears, he sends in his Pokemon to battle, and we get another Eeveelution. As it turns out, he has a Flareon.
He's not deserving of a Flareon.
Magcargo wins, again. An argument erupts between Egan and Misty, again, but Ash and Brock break up the fight by suggesting food. Team Rocket is hungry too, and so they are going to steal Pikachu and their lunch. But instead, they are off again, running after being set on fire by Magcargo. Because they say they're blazing off again. And no ding, because they ran.
No ding-a-ling?
We already had 2. Settle down.
Oh.
Egan and Misty have a good chat during lunch, and they seem to make up a bit. Egan is still a bit of a punk, but it's a little bit better. Egan uses the water lessons from Misty and uses it in his next battle, about being flexible and adapting to things.
It was a little strange, but...
The lesson?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was good.
I thought it was a little strange, but okay.
Just like water takes the form of a cup and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
I get adapting, but like other Pokemon can adapt too. Can they not?
But that's water Pokemon.
There was a lesson from water, not necessarily water Pokemon. She likes water Pokemon because of the idea of water and adapting and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so Egan uses this lesson and he learns to adapt to the things that Magcargo is doing, and this time he wins and catches it.
Which was a little disappointing because I thought Ash was going to catch it at the beginning of the episode.
No, he already got his new Pokemon to fill in his empty spot, remember?
Yeah, but he could send it back to the transfer.
Oh, they don't like to do that, remember? He doesn't catch anything half the time. But then Team Rocket takes the ball and drops a modified motto.
Prepare for trouble like a hot lava flow.
And make a double, or to the showers you'll go.
To protect our team from the volcano's wrath.
We keep cool while you get a rock bath.
To denounce truth and love from my very first pitch.
Hit it out of the park. Wouldn't that be a switch?
Jesse.
James.
Winding up, we prepare for a home run.
Keep your eye on the ball. Here comes a hard one.
I thought this was softball.
Yeah, they had this whole like baseball thing. It was like kind of like intense and creepy and weird.
Yeah, they end up doing baseball puns a lot in this show, it seems.
Why?
I guess they like baseball.
Maybe there was a baseball match going on that week.
So then Misty uses Poliwhirl to bring the Pokeball back, and a battle starts with a distracted Pokemon Victory Bell. Misty and Egan work together with their Magcargo and Poliwhirl to defeat Team Rocket, and Pikachu zaps them until they're blasting off again! Ding! Misty and Egan part on good terms, and the gang is on their way again. And our who's that Pokemon? It's Mantine. That's what they claim is the heaviest Pokemon, but I think if you actually dig into stuff, Steelix is actually the heaviest Pokemon of Johto.
Yeah.
Who's Mantine?
He's the Manta Ray Pokemon.
Steelix is most likely heavy.
The one that, Gold used to shoot up in the air in the manga.
How is that guy heavier than Steelix?
Our tallies are one Psyduck sighting, a catching catchphrase, an Eeveelution, an off again, a modified motto, and a distracted Pokemon. Alright, and now to rank it.
Whichever the way the wind blows is definitely better than this one, I feel like.
I think I'm in agreement on that, actually. So, yes, so whatever we do, we're probably putting it under whichever way a wind blows, since we all seem to be agreement on that part.
I felt like it could have gone above. It was kind of mutual, but that's fine. That one's not as bad as some.
I think I like Plant It Now, Diglett Later better.
Yeah, I thought that was
Wait,
a
is
good...
it Mantine Overboard, the sunken treasure?
Mantine Overboard, yeah.
Wow, that got pushed way down there.
How?
Because a lot of other things were interesting, I guess? I don't know.
Oh.
So yeah, I think I'm going to put it under Mantine Overboard, because somehow it got lower than I remember it deserving to be, but we've had a lot of really good episodes, so maybe that's why it's so far down.
Maybe. It's probably going to get a little bit of a boost.
I could see that. So it'll be right above Octillery Outcast with the creepy frozen Remoraid.
That was so weird! Like, why don't they move them?
Saving money on animation.
I guess.
That makes Some Like It Hot, episode 28 out of 31. Now, let's go over season 5, episode 32, Hocus Pokemon, which I had to try to watch through other means because I couldn't watch it on my Prime stuff for some reason. Or Pokemon Maho de Daihenshin, or a huge transformation with Pokemon magic. And Maho, I believe, is the word for magic in this situation, because I've seen that before in other things.
Only one exclamation point and a question mark.
Because it's only one sentence.
Psh, it's long enough. A huge transformation with Pokemon magic?
So, anyway, the gang is in the woods again.
Lost in the woods.
When a Murkrow and a Pokemon magician named Lily shows up. What's your name in Pokemon Gold?
Lily?
So it must be you.
That's funny.
Stop uncovering my secrets in front of other people!
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm just kidding. It's actually Flame's secret identity.
What?
See, you can hear the girliness in his voice.
Are you kidding me?
Anyway. Brock is infatuated, of course. Lily apparently needs a Pikachu's Thunderbolt for a new trick she's working on. She says trick, but it turns out it's more like a spell. I don't know. It's all confusing. Brock starts flirting, and Misty is babysitting Brock again when she knocks him away, but also because Misty is super interested because she wanted to be a Pokemon magician when she was young.
Doubtful. Very, very doubtful.
That she wanted to be a Pokemon magician?
She has all these ambitions when she was younger.
A lot of kids have a lot of ambitions when they're younger.
But she said ever since she was a little girl, she wanted to be a water thing. So, like...
Yeah, she probably wanted both at one point. Who knows?
Maybe.
Kids have all kinds of ideas.
She'd be crazy.
I've heard plenty of you guys be like, well, I want to be a policeman and a veterinarian and, whatever. I don't know. Like, the president.
The president! I'd be a better president than some of our old presidents.
So, the magician has a book full of magic spells in a strange language, and she finds a spell to help Misty have softer and smoother skin. And then Misty is covered in a dark cloud, and then she's covered in Spinnerack silk. Again, just like in that ninja training one for the special training to have pretty skin. So it shows that Spinnerack silk is good for you, but she, of course, hates it because it's a Spinnerack. Poor Misty. Lily is trying to figure out the magic spell that helps a person read a Pokemon's mind, and the missing ingredient is a Pikachu's Thunderbolt, although it turns out she needs more than just that. Like a Parasect Stun Spore. So they all go on a hunt for the ingredients. After getting the Stun Spore, which took a couple tries, Pikachu is snatched up into the Team Rocket balloon, and we get an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble just because.
Meowth's got Pikachu by the paws.
But then we get an irritating interruption when Lily gushes over Meowth's cuteness. When Murkrow goes to get dirt from Meowth's paws, it accidentally puts a hole in the balloon, which sends it flying off. Pikachu is dropped, but Lily still needs the dirt, and so she goes chasing after, and the gang follow. They all catch up to where Team Rocket is on a very narrow piece of rock that could crumble at any moment. Lily runs onto it, gets the dirt, and leaves, which of course causes the rock to crumble, and Team Rocket is off again as they shout Team Rocket's falling down again. Crash.
Bash.
Boosh.
Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon can store thermal energy from the sun. The last ingredient Lily needs are tears from an Apom, and they find one quick. But it flees, and they give chase, and Team Rocket spied on the conversation, so they want the spell now. The gang almost gets the Apom, but Annette snatches it up, and Team Rocket has it instead, and they take Lily's bag of magic supplies. Then they launch into their motto again, that ends in an outstanding outro.
Team Rocket magically blasts off at the speed of light.
The crystal ball says surrender now, or prepare to fight. Why the... Oh, because magic stuff. Yep. That makes sense.
And they were dressed like psychics or something, I don't know. The book appears to be written in nonsense letters, but James explains it is from ancient Pokemonia, from around the Third King, whatever that all means. He learned to read it as a kid. They're about to make the Apom cry, but James warns the others not to hit it. Apparently, tears achieved through violence won't work. So James tries comedy. Meowth tries a dramatic puppet show about the reunion of mother and son. And Jessie tries tragic theater. They all fail. Then the gang arrives and they battle. And soon Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Ding!
And Apom thought it was hilarious and laughs until it cries. With all the ingredients, Ash volunteers to be the first to try it out, and then Pikachu's Thunderbolt finishes the spell, and Ash is now a Pikachu.
I found this really funny.
And then Lily finds out there was another page to the spell, but it's too smudged up, so the spell wasn't finished. But the spell should wear off at some point, and so Pikachu goes and plays with Togepi, his Pikachu, and Murkrow. Who's that Pokemon? It's Dugong.
That's right.
So our tally are an interesting intro, an irritating interruption, an off again, and an outstanding outro. Now, it's time to rank it.
This one was really funny with the Ash turning into a Pikachu.
Agreed. Do you think where would you line it up with the other two episodes?
I still really think whichever the way the wind blows is really good. So I feel like it's still below that one.
Ruby, your thoughts?
I don't know.
Do you think it was better than whichever way the wind blows?
I think probably.
I agree.
Maybe above Hatching a Plan?
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
And that puts Hocus Pokemon at number 20 out of 32. So our next episode is Season 5, Episode 33, As Clear as Crystal, or Sanda to Kurisutaru, Mizumi no Himitsu, or Thunder and the Crystal, Secret of the Lake.
At this point, I'm just giving up on them using 3 exclamation points. Again, it's only 2. They're just failing.
Hey, look at this Japanese word, though.
Mizu?
Mizumi.
Oh, Mizumi.
Which is
That's probably late.
Umi, which is what? Umi is beach, and Mizu is water.
Ah!
And that seems to give us a lake, it looks like.
Beach plus water equals lake.
I guess. All right. Ash and Co. are still in the woods.
Lost in the woods.
And Ash finally returns to normal. And I say finally because he just turned into Pikachu at the very end of the episode, and now he's back to normal. So I don't know what that was about.
Well, they obviously time-lapsed it in between episodes.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just really weird that they even did that for the end of one episode just to resolve it in like you would think they would have an episode where he has to wander as Pikachu for like almost the entire episode or something.
It would be much more interesting.
Yeah,
They
it
failed.
would. They should have never even turned him into Pikachu.
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, it was funny, but they should have done an episode about that.
Sure. But I mean, it's really weird that they even took the time to have him transform back. Like, you would think they would just go ahead and just start the episode he's normal, just like they do with anything else that weird that happens, like Jesse and James's mohawks and stuff. So it turns out they're actually lost in the woods this time, and Misty is upset. She was looking forward to getting to a Pokemon Center and getting some beauty sleep. And then Ash says Misty doesn't need any beauty sleep. And there wasn't even a punchline. Like, he just said it honestly.
Yeah, there was like...
I didn't catch that.
I thought it was going to be because it can't even help
Hey.
you or something.
You gotta catch them all.
I thought there was going to be because you can't even, like, get beautiful or something. But he just said...
Right? It was so interesting. And I'm like, is he starting to finally see Misty in a different way?
Or was it like a love-hate thing the entire time?
Well, that's usually the case when people are bickering like that when they're a boy and girl. Anyway, so then we see some oddly dressed folk offer a nifty chair that can recharge Ash's Pikachu. And these two oddballs have a nice rhyme scheme that leads to them taking off in their balloon, which also grabs the chair Pikachu was placed in. As the gang are completely clueless as who could be doing such a thing, we get an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, no time to spare.
Make it double as we slice the air.
And then Meowth gives an irritating interruption. We'll cut it short right there. Oh, look! Surprise, surprise, it's Team Rocket!
Ooh, my goodness.
They convince Ash to have Pikachu do his electric moves, which are then sucked into the chair. But Ash just keeps on having Pikachu charge it up until it explodes.
When I saw that happening, I'm like, oh, they're going to overload the battery.
Yep. So then Pikachu escapes, and Team Rocket is blasting off again! Ding! But now Pikachu is exhausted, and a girl shows up to see if everyone is okay. Brock flirts, and Misty is babysitting Brock with an ear pull. The lady is sure she can help Pikachu, but the gang have to promise to keep it all a complete secret. As they hike a steep trail, they see other electric Pokemon headed in the same direction. Up there, Brock mentions never seeing a lake on top of a mountain before.
Really? Brock, you're the one who is supposed to remember everything.
Does everybody remember Mewtwo Returns and the special lake up there?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
not everybody. Brock forgot.
Mewtwo didn't even erase their memories this time. Oh, well. Continuity of the season was going so well before, too.
And he was the one who always made sure to remember.
Well, actually, James was remembering the Orange Island stuff. I count on James's memory more than Brock's, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Brock wasn't there for the Orange Islands, though. Just saying.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, because he was... I forgot exactly. But, like, he stopped to help out.
Professor Ivy.
Don't mention that name! I was gonna say it, but I had to wait for one of you to say it.
Yep, that was
What?
good.
What?
Professor Ivy.
Okay. Why are you guys reacting so much about it?
That's what Brock did.
He would go into a corner and go, "Don't mention that name."
Oh.
He was devastated that he wasn't there anymore.
Oh.
Anyway, it turns out the lake charges up and heals electric Pokemon. So Pikachu is set inside and heals right on up. Then the lady takes the gang out onto a boat to show them the secret of the lake. There is an abandoned underwater temple with a giant, legendary crystal deep inside. It is what gives the lake its healing abilities. So, not only do we have a lake on top of a mountain, Brock, but it's also one that heals Pokemon again.
Only electric Pokemon.
It's still, it is very, very similar.
And anything feeling familiar, Brock? Anything at all?
Anyway, Team Rocket is spying on the conversation, of course, and what do they want to do? Steal the crystal. And then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. Whirlpools are created when this Pokemon yawns. Team Rocket returns to the Tentacruel underwater machine to steal the crystal. Like they've used this once or twice before. And the gang on shore see the light goes out inside the lake, and then they see Team Rocket's device climbing out of the water, and another interesting intro surfaces.
Prepare for trouble, we'll never get caught.
Make a double, and look what we've got.
And then they close everything out with an outstanding outro.
Team Rocket blasts off with a quick bolt of light.
Surrender now, or prepare to be zapped with our electrical might.
Meowth's out of sight. Because he's literally on a radio when he says his line.
Yeah.
So nobody can see him.
Yep.
Funny.
I really like that part. That one was funny to me.
Oh, and one of the Pokemon that was recovering in the lake is an Eeveelution. We got a Jolteon out there. And this completes the trio if we include the Raikou movie's Vaporeon. Because we saw Flareon in the Magcargo episode. All the electric Pokemon chase after Team Rocket to try and get the crystal back. But the balloon has electricity absorbers, and then Zapdos descends from the sky, and a thunderstorm rolls in. And this completes episodes that have a legendary Kanto bird show up. Because we had the Articuno not terribly long ago, and Moltres was at the Indigo Plateau.
They're just like making sure all of them show up.
Yep, they're checking all the boxes. So the bird shows up to protect other electric Pokemon, just like Raikou did in the movie, or special, or whatever. And its energy is sucked up by the absorber, like the crystal did in the Raikou movie. This all seems very familiar. So Zapdos charges up the electricity absorber so that it explodes, and Team Rocket is blasting off again! Crash! But they still have the crystal, and Zapdos is wiped. Ash and Co. find Team Rocket, and a battle starts with another Victory Bell distracted Pokemon count. This time, Team Rocket start to escape with a Wobbuffet balloon. Then Bayleaf and Victory Bell have a Vine Whip tug-of-war with the crystal, and then Pikachu zaps the balloon, and Team Rocket are off again as they are making another escape, noting. Ash jumps off a cliff to save the falling crystal, and Bayleaf catches Ash with, the Vine Whip stuff that could have been used with that whole water situation in a different episode. Swimming in the lake, Ash replaces the crystal, and the electric Pokemon charge the crystal back up, and Zapdos is put in the water and recovers. Before they all leave, Misty is babysitting Brock again as he gushes over the lady. And then we get another brief moment with Team Rocket dangling from a cliff, and they get zapped by a passing Zapdos. At the end, they are off again as they say, Team Rocket's hanging around again, and then the branch, I think, snaps and they all fall. But then we have some trivia. So the original version of this episode does not have Ash telling Misty she didn't need beauty sleep. That's only been in the English, it was added in the English dub.
Really?
Yeah.
That is strange.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything that ever indicates that Misty and Ash might like each other at all in the Japanese versions or not. Or if that was all added for us. And our Who's That Pokemon, the one that creates whirlpools with a yawn? It's Kingdra, the final evolution of Horsea that becomes part dragon type. And we have 2 interesting intros, an irritating interruption, 2 babysitting Brock, an outstanding outro, an Eeveelution, a distracted Pokemon, and 2 off-agains.
Usually with the tallies, for distract Pokemon, you have Victory Bell eating James or something like that, but now it's just Victory Bell.
Well, we all know what it means.
Well, yeah, but it's just a Victory Bell.
I don't need to type it all out. I don't even read it out loud, so... All right, and now it's time to rank it.
I feel like it's below Hocus Pokemon, because Hocus Pokemon was really funny at the end. And then when they were trying to make Apom cry, that part was also funny.
That's true, that was funny.
So I think it's going to go below Hocus Pokemon.
Alright. Well, then I will aim for something below Hocus Pokemon. I think I liked it better than that, but that is fine, because it's a matter of different taste. This one wasn't necessarily a funny episode, I just thought it was kind of cool. But, on the other hand, it's a little bit repetitious if you've watched the Raikou thing. But I definitely like seeing Zapdos in a thunderstorm. Thunderstorms are always exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. I'm thinking either above or below throwing in the Noctowl.
Well, you know me, I vote for above that, but it depends on what you think.
Yeah, that's fine. We can put it there. Alright, so that makes As Clear as Crystal our number 23 out of 33. So then that brings us to Season 5, Episode 34. Same Old Song and Dance. Or, Futago no Pupurin Tai Purin, Utao Pokemon Konsato. Or, Pupurin Twins versus Purin, Singing Pokemon Concert. So, Pupurin is Igglybuff, because we already knew Purin was Jigglypuff. Which does mean Ash and Co. are wandering through the woods.
Lost in the woods.
And they find out there is a town at the end of it, and so they rush ahead. Emerging onto the path behind them, a creature stalks its prey.
Very shockingly.
It is a jumpin' Jigglypuff.
Wow.
Wait, why is it called Jumping Jigglypuff instead of just appearing Jigglypuff?
Well, 1, jumpin' starts with a J. Number 2, it's kind of an exclamation because he shows up. Jumpin' Jigglypuff!
Oh, I'm going to start using that now.
Oh, I like it. So then the gang reach town, and Togepi rushes off and finds a girl having her 2 Igglybuff practice their dancing. Turns out she is a popular singer with her Igglybuff, and they're known as Brittany and the Looney Balloons. Brock flirts, and Misty is babysitting Brock. The Igglybuff twins are named Gigglybiff and Gigglybuff. Brock tries to flirt some more, and Misty pulls him back by his leg in a second babysitting Brock.
His leg?
Already,
Yes.
Gee.
Like, his leg is up, and she just, grabs it and starts pulling him back.
Oh, yeah.
So he has to, hop backwards. The gang watches Brittany and her Pokemon practice one of their songs. Team Rocket is spying on them all and decides to steal the twin Igglybuff. After Brittany finishes, Brock goes in again, and this time gets a backpack pull babysitting Brock. Then Jigglypuff arrives and goes for the Igglybuff practice stage, but Ash rushes in and steals the mic before she can. Brock swoops in to give her food, which she does end up happily eating.
Then Ash puts the mic in his backpack and is like, we'll give that back to her later.
Correct. Jigglypuff is envious of the Igglybuff becoming stars, which is her dream, so she beats on the Igglybuff when everyone goes inside, and she steals their headbands.
And throws them aside.
When Misty comes out, and the Igglybuff are crying, Jigglypuff claims a wind blew them off, and she's being super sweet and bringing them back to the twins. Lies!
She's being very rude.
Well,
Yeah, it reminds me of many movies and stuff, like, where one dude's being mean, and it's like, no, it's something else happened, and I'm just returning.
Teddy Ursa.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's giving me Teddy Ursa vibes.
You're lucky I kind of like you, Jigglypuff.
What's wrong with Teddy Ursa?
There was an episode with Teddy Ursa, and I made it last for a while, because like the last one on our list for a while, because I was very angry with Teddy Ursa.
What
Did
he
not like that episode.
He did a lot of what Jigglypuff's doing, but constantly, and had Misty wrapped around his little paw. It was very frustrating. Anyway, the gang and Jigglypuff go with Brittany to her concert. Once everyone is seated and the performance starts, Jigglypuff decides to sneak off backstage to get to Ash's backpack and find her mic back.
Because she was like, I want my mic, and then she thinks back and she's like, oh, I remember.
Yeah, and she chooses all the wrong bags first, like finding a handkerchief in Misty's bag, a loaf of bread in Brock's, which she ends up eating, and then she finds her mic.
It was also Teddy Ursa vibes, because Teddy Ursa took Brock's backpack and ate bread out of it.
I think the worst, what made Teddy Ursa worse is that he got everybody, like the other Pokemon, in trouble, and they got the blame for what he was doing, whereas Jigglypuff is just doing things and then lying about it.
Yeah.
So then Jiggly heads onto stage and starts to sing, but Team Rocket appears and gives us their song motto again, though I think some of the lines might have been changed from previous versions of the song. But we have another modified motto.
You know us as Team Rocket, we fight for what is wrong. We're tired of our motto, so we thought we'd try a song.
James.
Jesse, the speed of light, prepare to fight.
Meowth, that's right.
I'm the handsome one.
I'm the gorgeous one. We make it something's wrong, but we keep rolling along. We want to capture Pikachu, we hope to do it soon. And when we do,
we'll be the new
stars of this cartoon.
Excellent, Choo-Choo. So then some Brittany superfan asks who Team Rocket is anyway, and they gladly launch into their regular motto, despite doing a song about being tired of it. Then Victory Bell comes out as a distracted Pokemon, and we have a battle. Jigglypuff even gets into the fray this time. And then Team Rocket escape with the twins after unleashing a smokescreen. The crowd is angry, and so Brock has to perform his one and only song he knows over and over, while Ash, Misty, and Brittany go to save the twins. And then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon can create shockwaves with its wings.
But Brock's song, I was just thinking of it the other day, actually. It was kind of fun. Actually, I was thinking of it yesterday, I think, and last night I had a weird dream about it.
Oh, geez. You're dreaming about Brock, huh?
Oh.
No, you were in place of Brock.
I was?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah.
I think Brock is closer to my brother than me. Neither of us have the weird girl thing, but...
Good. But his song, it was funny.
So it turns out Team Rocket also accidentally stole Jigglypuff, and she is mad. They tie her up to a tree and tape her mouth shut. I love how both, like, Team Rocket and the gang are always like, wait, Jigglypuff, keep that mouth closed, steal the mic, do whatever we can to stop her from singing.
Yeah, they're just like, no Jigglypuff.
Yep.
No.
And the reason they tied her up is probably because of her double slap.
Yes. But then the gang find her and free her. She leads them to Team Rocket, and Noctowl pops their balloon. The gang shows up and unleash their Pokemon to battle, and James struggles with Victory Bell again in another distracted Pokemon. Once the twins are rescued, they go in to join the battle, and in the end, Team Rocket is blasting off again. Ding!
Calling.
Ding!
Wow. The performance is back on, and the crowd is happy to not have to endure Brock's song again, and he's happy to stop singing it because he was getting exhausted.
They loved it at first, but...
Yeah, the first time they loved it. The second time they're like, okay.
And then they started getting real mad.
It was like that person in The Wedding Singer. Do you really want to hurt me? By the end, they did. They did want to. Then Jigglypuff takes the stage and sings everyone to sleep, draws on them, and walks away angry. And even the narrator was hit with Jigglypuff's sing move because he's all yawning and stuff, either from starting to doze off or from waking up. I don't know which.
I think he was starting to doze off because didn't he start to actually fall asleep?
Ooh, I think you might be right. So it even reached the narrator.
He was far enough away that he could still narrate the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do know that it can be less or more powerful depending on length or probably proximity because there was that one episode with the Noctowl episode with the plane. Jigglypuff got interrupted so that they were able to wake up sooner. Who's that Pokemon? It's Yanma. We have a Jumpin' Jigglypuff. We have 3 babysitting Brock, a modified Motto, and 2 distracted Pokemon. And yes, my note is simply Victory Bell twice.
Victory Bell, ... twice.
All right, time to rank it.
This episode was really funny. I think that I'm actually probably going to put it right under... Oh, shoot. I forgot the name of the episode that was on top.
Your favorite has been Whichever Way the Wind Blows.
Yeah, I'm probably going to put it right under there.
So above Hocus Pokemon since it's just under anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of funny. I like the whole Jigglypuff and Igglybuff action.
Yeah, it was certainly enjoyable.
It's at least going below a Parent Trapped and above As Clear as Crystal.
Okay. Well, with that, maybe we should just put it right above Hocus Pokemon then.
Okay, that works.
All right. And so that takes up rank number 20 out of 34. And so that brings us to the final episode we're covering this week, which is Season 5, Episode 35. Enlighten Up. What? Just
the episode. It's not my favorite.
Gotcha. Or Yadan no Satori. Satoshi no Satori. Yadan's comprehension. Satoshi's comprehension. And Satoshi, if anybody remembers, is Ash. So Ash and Co. come to Lake Slowpoke, or the Lake of Enlightenment, and they discuss what enlightenment means. And right off the bat, Jessie's muffled voice laughs at the fact that they don't know the meaning. And James says they should enlighten them. And then they dig up an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble from under the ground.
And make it double with a deafening sound.
Then Team Rocket explode from a hidden pit they dug underground during their motto, and finish off with an outstanding outro.
Enlighten Jessie.
Enlightened James.
All-knowing Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light.
Surrender now and face the truth, or prepare to fight, fight, fight.
Turns out, Team Rocket decided to try a new style where instead of digging a trap hole for them to fall into, they dug a hole to hide in and pop out when the gang arrives. That's basically the response the gang had. They're like, I don't know if that makes sense.
It doesn't. Also, I'm surprised they haven't, broken anything falling into all these pits.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times they should be dead, for crying out loud, so... Yeah. That one kid, maybe broke his arm or something. In the Arcanine episode. Oh, right, you fell asleep during that one.
I'm like, yeah, Arcane episode.
They're all about to battle, but then a slowpoke with a yellow flag gets between them and dips its tail in the water. And then a lady named Madeline stops them from chasing off the slowpoke and stopping their battle. She studies at the Slowpoke Temple nearby, and they're all about trying to find out their true essence, like Slowpoke is doing. After the gang introduce themselves and who they think they are, Madeline turns to Team Rocket and asks about them. Jessie starts to answer the usual motto way, but James has an irritating interruption. We just did that, Jess. The temple has a giant golden Slowpoke statue, and when Team Rocket sees it, they decide to steal it. During lunch, Ash learns that Gary was there studying too, and he was most interested in the most challenging training, and Brock and Misty know what's coming, and sure enough, Ash is ready to train like Gary did. And they even say, shocking, like we always do, because we're always so surprised.
They get us.
You're right. Team Rocket have another boss fantasy about getting him that golden statue. So they decide they'll train as a cover while they try and find a way to get the statue. Everyone tries a kneeling meditation where they aren't allowed to move. The goal is to not think of anything and master one's mind. They all fail and get whacked with sticks.
But, I would fail too, but I wouldn't get whacked with a stick, because they only get whacked if they move. I would probably be thinking of things, but I wouldn't be moving.
I think the idea is that you're going... they had bigger movements most of the time, but I think the idea is that if you think of anything, there will be a minuscule amount of movement, and they'll detect it and whack you. But it's a cartoon, so they're going to make him bigger. Is the concept, I think. But maybe I shouldn't think. I need to master my mind. Sorry.
I don't like the whole enlightened thing. I'm like, okay, you guys go have fun doing that. I'll continue, to the gym.
Right. So now they need to scrub the temple clean. They don't do well at it because of some racing they decided to do, so they all need to do it all over again. And then there will be even more training after that. Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon rotates its head when it needs to think.
Oh, that one's pretty easy.
Hoot hoot.
Very close.
Knocked out.
There it is. Team Rocket plan to act like they need a rest so they can steal the statue while Meowth goes with the gang to go fishing at the lake, which is part of their training. Slowpoke fished out a Goldeen and then sends it back into the water. The fishing doesn't go well, even for Misty, who is good at it. So they send in Meowth to go underwater to figure out why Slowpoke is doing well and none of them are. Like he's supposed to go talk to the Pokemon.
He is usually used like a translator when it comes to trying to figure out Pokemon.
Yeah, the thing is you can't really just have a conversation underwater, but... Turns out they know when people are trying to catch them. Slowpoke then gets a Shelder, so he should probably evolve, right? Then the statue is crashing through as Jesse and James have it on a bike. Madeline doesn't move and sends in the evolving Slowpoke, who is now Slowbro. So yes, we have an evolution. So instead of getting run over, Slowbro uses confusion, which often in the show seems to levitate things, and it levitates the statue and shakes out Team Rocket. And then he levitates it back to its home. Team Rocket are sent back to the temple for some more training, and the gang head back on their journey. And Team Rocket are stuck inside the temple and can't leave in what I think should be called an entertaining exit, because they didn't blast off, and they are leaving stuck there, since we have another Jumpin' Jigglypuff moment as Delibird has come looking for them again and is hanging out right outside of their room. And then we see they're about to be whacked with sticks again.
Yeah, now they're supposed to be meditating, and a lot of people have sticks.
Yep.
And, at one point during the episode, Madeline, she mentions how one person finally reached enlightenment there, and I'm like, really? What? Enlightenment is just, the whole thing is stupid.
Just because you don't understand something doesn't make it stupid.
How they waste their lives there.
Debatable. Anyway.
Debatable!
There's some trivia for this episode. Brock has a fantasy of Madeline during his meditation that is cut from our version. And then they also reduce the sound of the sticks being when they're whacking people with it, as well as covering up the actual contact. So when they hit the people with the sticks, you don't see them hit them. You see a big blast of the artistic view of something being whacked, you know? You know what I mean? Like a big burst on the screen?
Yeah.
So it covers up any actual hitting. So they did that for our version as well. And then Ash, in the Japanese version, mistakes the lake's name, which is Satori, for his own name, which is Satoshi, instead of wondering what enlightenment means. So he doesn't go what is enlightenment? He's thinking that the lake is named after him or something, or shares a name with him.
I was going to be so does that mean that was a one-track Ash moment, but he was thinking of himself, not Pokemon, so.
Yeah. And our Who's That Pokemon? It's Noctowl! And for our tally, we have an interesting intro, an outstanding outro, an irritating interruption, a boss fantasy, an entertaining exit, a Jumpin' Jigglypuff, and an evolution that I forgot to write down. Now to rank it.
So, I really like how when all three of them got slapped, they all were like being like, "Enough with the slapping already!" And I like how they were like saying that they were all sore, and then Missy's like, "Oh, we're not sore. It's just because we're young and stuff or whatever." So I think this one actually goes above whichever the way the wind blows. So number 1.
Interesting. Okay. So you liked it better than all the episodes?
Yes. Is that a problem?
No, it's just interesting.
Oh, alright.
It is a problem.
I like having somebody shake up how we would normally put things. It's kind of fun. It's a challenge.
So we have to face it with courage.
Why do we have to face it with courage?
Isn't that one of the Pokemon songs?
Oh, maybe.
Challenge.
Alright. Then I think I'm going to just put it right under apparent. Well, actually, do I like it better than... Oh. No, I don't. Alright. Under apparent trapped.
That's a little high up.
But I had to go above the other ones of his.
Then you have to.
Alright, so that means Enlighten Up is 20 out of 35. And now, it's time to choose the Pokemon we think was the most interesting or highlighted the best in this group of episodes. So we have like the Magcar Go episode. We have the Whichever Way the Wind Blows, where Bayleaf does a lot of work, but obviously you have a lot of Vileplume and Blossom and stuff. As Clear as Crystal had like Zapdos and stuff. Hocus Pokemon had a kind of variety of stuff going on there. Murkrow was involved for sure. Same Old Song and Dance was Jigglypuff and the Igglybuff. And Enlighten Up was the Slowpoke.
Jeez, I don't know. There wasn't like an arc of episodes that featured one Pokemon.
No, but I mean, you also picked a Quagsire or Wobbuffet or something when it was like barely featured or something one time. It's just because you get...
That's not true.
Yeah, no, it was Quagsire. He showed up in like one little scene of an episode. It was the Wobbuffet episode, and you're like, oh, but it was so exciting to see him, and so that's why you chose him.
Doesn't happen.
It's already like released out into the wild. People know this. I think I know which one I'm picking.
I think I know.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Zapdos.
Zapdos. What did you say, Ruby?
Zapdos.
I thought so. I thought I heard my speaking word. And you chose Jigglypuff?
Jigglypuff.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I mixed the two. All right, so Zapdos gets a Great Ball. Yeah, I really liked Zapdos' action when he got to show up, and he came with a big old thunderstorm, which was super cool.
Yeah.
But Jigglypuff and Igglybuff were definitely contenders for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Igglybuff was my second option.
I think I probably would have gone with Jigglypuff as my second choice. All right, and with that done, now it's time for Pokemon cards.
Whoop whoop.
So this week, I finally got a hold of an Elite Trainer box for Journey Together, and so we are all opening packs from that as we journey through this together. My pack has Iono with her Belly Bolt.
And I got Hop with Zacian.
And I got a girl with blonde hair with a Clefairy.
I want to say her name's like Lily or something, and I think she's from the Alola region, which is your name in the game.
Ooh la la.
Spelled different, I think. But... All right. All right, we will start with Flame.
Alright. Centret. Colorless Pokemon. Enzarua?
Oh, yeah, it's Enzarua. Because N is a trainer.
Wait, that's crazy. Enzarua? Dark type. I just like Zorua in general. Tropius. A colorless. Swinub. A fighting type.
Oh, because he's ice ground. Interesting.
Toedscruel evolves from Toedscool. Ability, Secret Forest Path. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your active Pokemon retreat cost is 2 less. Alright. Ens Darmanitan evolves from Ens Aramaka. Wait, that's crazy. You have to have Ens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's tricky. And then Lokix evolves from Nimble. Oh, Dark type. Nimble, a Grass type. Oh, and a Reverse Hollow. Qfant, a Metal type. Another Reverse Hollow. Volcanion, EX. Fire type. Ability. Scalding Steam. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon burn.
Cool.
So just like, boom, you're burned. That's crazy. And that is 2-star. And then a basic fighting energy.
My turn, right?
Yep.
Alright, my first one is a Shelligon, evolves from Bagon. Dragon, fire and water is what it looks like. Then Milcery, psychic type. Paldean Wooper, dark type.
Man, there's some interesting types for some of these Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess that'd be like ground or something. Supporter trainer card, Black Belt's Training. During this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX before applying weakness and resistance. Item trainer card, Ends PP Up. Attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Ends Pokemon. Pelipper evolves from Wingull, water. Ends Kinklang evolves from Ends Clang, steel. Reverse Hollow, Volcarno evolves from Larvesta, fire. My other Reverse Hollow, Ends Sigilith, psychic. My rare is Ends Resharm, dragon. Looks like a fire and electric. All of Ends cards have his little face down there. Or I'm guessing it's his face.
Yep, probably.
Then a steel card. Energy card.
Ooh. So I got a Delmise psychic type version. So that's fun. Usually it's the grass type version. That's the ship wheel anchor ghost. I got Black Belt's Training. I got Shelmet, grass type. Rockruff, fighting type. Combuskin evolves from Torchic, fire type. Ooh. Alolan Golem evolves from Alolan Graveler, electric type. That's cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
I've got Escavalier, evolves from Carablast, metal type. My first reverse hollow is a Dunsparce, colorless. Then I got a Wingull, water type. Ooh. And I got Hops Snorlax for my rare, colorless ability, Extra Helpings. Attacks used by your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. The effect of Extra Helpings doesn't stack.
Nice.
And then I got a basic water energy card. All right. That's our episode. So, Routes Through Pokemon is a Hunterfield Institute production. You can find us on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and other podcasting platforms. We're also on YouTube at the Hunterfield Institute channel. Just look for the Routes Through Pokemon playlist. And go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, review, leave comments, all that jazz. You can also get in touch with us at hunterfieldmanor@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page for Routes Through Pokemon, where I post our latest tally counts, our episode rankings, our Pokedexes from the games, all that stuff. And on there, as well as X, where I am at Hunterfield Inns, and Instagram, where I'm kinetic_card. I also, twice a week, post some Who's That Pokemon segments. And so next week, we will be covering 3 more chapters of the Pokemon Adventures Manga Volume 12, as well as 6 more episodes of the anime, and one of them is a banned one, so it's only in Japanese. So that was a fun one to get through. As we continue our journey together to Blackthorn City and the final Johto Gym. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next route. Bye-bye!
Bye!
Sayonara!
Adios.
Part 43. The Tomboy. Emerging from the other end of the underground tunnel, Murasaki stepped out into the sunshine. Large, puffy clouds floated along the bright blue sky. In contrast, he could see that there was a nasty-looking storm somewhere to the southwest.
I'm glad I'm not in that,
the boy said to himself.
At least for now,
Came a softer voice. Murasaki jumped and whirled to find a girl leaning against the outside wall of the underground entrance. She was tossing a Pokeball lightly into the air and catching it in her gloved hand.
What?
Murasaki asked.
that storm. I think it's over Vermilion City right now, but the wind is blowing this way, so...
The girl trailed off as she used the fingers on her free hand to start counting. She snapped her gum and looked back at Murasaki.
Maybe 30 minutes until it reaches us?
The boy frowned.
How would you know that?
The girl tossed the Pokeball higher than before and popped off the wall. She took a casual step toward Murasaki as she caught the device in her hand again. She shrugged and said with a smirk,
I was a Dragonair in another life, maybe.
Rolling his eyes, Murasaki turned his back on the girl to face the route ahead.
If you're right, then I need to hurry to town.
Celadon's closer.
Yeah, it's also where I just came from.
Sure, but I doubt you'll reach Lavender before the storm gets here.
Murasaki glanced back at the girl with disgust.
It isn't that far. How slow do you think I am?
Hey, I'm not saying you're slow, but there are plenty of trainers out there itching for a battle. They're gonna slow you down.
I won't let them.
The girl looked Murasaki up and down.
I don't think you'll be able to stop them.
I don't really care what you think.
Then why are you still here talking to me?
What? You keep talking to me!
You could have walked away at any time.
You're right. I'm leaving now.
Murasaki started down the route, annoyed he had let the first stranger he ran across to get to him so easily. He had already been delayed enough by Zeke.
All right, fine,
The girl said.
I'll come with you. Stop begging, though. Sheesh.
Beg? I didn't beg. I didn't even ask.
You coming or what?
The girl said, already having passed Murasaki.
I thought you were in a hurry.
Gritting his teeth, Murasaki rushed ahead to catch up with the girl. He couldn't let her think she was leading him to Lavender Town, but he also didn't feel like running the entire way either, and he was pretty sure if he tried to pass her, that's exactly what would have to happen.
Why are you doing this?
Murasaki asked.
Doing what?
Following me.
The girl furrowed her brow.
Following you? Who just had to catch up, Buster?
That's not the point. You seem to want to go to Celadon, so why are you going to Lavender Town?
I told you, the trainers are all over this route.
So? I can handle myself.
Look, I'm sure you could, but it would slow you down. But I find walking with someone else deters a lot of the challengers.
Murasaki looked around and noticed a few different trainers battling along the route. Some were trying to catch Pokemon, and others were clearly looking for someone to challenge, but didn't give the girl or himself a second glance.
Okay, so you might have a point there.
Just looking out for you, kid. You're welcome.
Kid? Kid? I'm not any younger than you. Or at least, not by a lot.
You sure? I'm guessing you're what, 10 years old? And just starting on your journey?
Yeah, just like you.
The girl laughed.
Don't insult me. I'm 11.
Murasaki rolled his eyes. The age difference was negligible, and he was even more annoyed at her sense of superiority. Still, it was nice to just walk right to Lavender Town, which they reached with plenty of time to spare before the storm.
So, where to now, kid?
Please stop calling me that. My name is Murasaki.
Ah, okay, Mura. I'm Beck.
The girl extended her hand out for a shake.
Murasaki, not Mura.
He corrected as he shook her hand.
Nice to meet you.
Back at ya. But again, where are we heading next? Pokemon Tower?
That's exactly where I'm going. I'm going to catch myself a Ghastly.
To be continued.